Recognizies is a master teacher. She's truly a master teacher, and she demonstrates this on a daily basis in her planning and preparation, her classroom instruction, but most of all in her ability to motivate students to really get involved in the lesson. I've observed the students on numerous occasions literally pleading with her to allow them to do just one more problem, just give them one more problem. And this is because they're excited about learning, they feel confident in what they do, and they are proud of what they do. They're willing to share with anyone that walks into the classroom.
One thing for Kelly, I would like to describe her as a lifelong learner. She's always looking for new ideas, she's creative, she's an outside-the-box thinker, and just doesn't want to keep doing the same thing. She's eager just to try new things and keep her kids motivated. So I would describe her as a lifelong learner. She just has a fun personality, she's easy to get along with, and she is definitely a team player. Kelly is very respected by her peers and by the other faculty and staff at Bell Elementary. She is hardworking, she's flexible, she's fun and easy to get along with, and just really has her students' best interest at heart, and I think that shows in all that she does.
Coach Matucci is just always willing to do anything for kids. If we ask him to help out in a classroom, he's going to be there. If we ask him to go out and help in the mornings in the weather to unload children, he's there. The teachers and staff at Birdwell have worked with Coach Matucci for quite a number of years, more than 15, and they view him every day as a friend, a master teacher. He's a resource and a friend and a teammate.
Mr. Brigman is one of the kindest, most committed people that I have ever met. He is an outstanding educator. He is collaborative. He works with the teachers to ensure that he is supporting the core curriculum in his program through the art program. He cares so much for the success of all the children, and he cares for the success of the campus, and he is a great contributor in that respect. Mr. Brigman is compassionate. Mr. Brigman is committed to the welfare of children, and he's very skilled at his craft.
Lauren Phillips started her career with us as a teacher. She's a young lady that has just developed over the years into a master teacher. She's developed programs and technologies for our students. She's one that's willing to share her work, puts it on SharePoint so the others can borrow it and tweak it to meet their needs. She's a very quiet young lady and very unassuming young lady, but they do know that they could go to her if they needed a question answered. She's becoming a leader, taking over some leadership roles in the school, and just is growing, and I think everybody's beginning to look to her for answers and for problem solving.
Beth is creative, she's empathetic, and of course she's joyful. And in everything I do, I see her, of course, creativity. When you walk into her classroom, she's always looking for new ways to do things, new ways to challenge her students, new ways for them to interact with learning in a different way. She's empathetic. She looks into the heart of the child to see where they're coming from and what their needs actually are. And of course, she's joyful. And everything that she does, she takes it with a heart of joy. Even the challenging days and the hard days, she comes back with a smile and she said, I learned something new today. I've done something new today and I've learned from it.
Miss Dickey is special. It's so obvious that she has such a genuine love and concern for her students, and it translates into relationship building. You go into her classroom, it's a positive learning environment. I love to go into her classroom when the bell rings and she's greeting her students each day. They walk in, their eyes light up when they see their teacher. And throughout the day, when children are so happy in an environment, and you can see it's such a safe and positive environment, and when that last bell rings of the day and they happily go out the door, you just know that it's a special place to be. And it's a joy to be in her classroom.
Natasha is a very creative, passionate, and dedicated teacher. She just has this natural passion. When you step into her classroom, it's not just teaching reading, teaching writing. She is able to just let her love of reading and writing just kind of, it's very contagious. So her kids are readers and writers, not just learning about reading. She just had this natural love and passion, very, very evident in her classroom for all of her kids.
Miss Becton just has brought such an awesome feel to our campus. She's new this year, and it's just a whole family. She's loving, and she has really embraced our Douglas children, and they love her because they see her as such a health person that they start wanting to be a lot like her. They take care of themselves. They talk about things at PE, and it's a great family at the PE area. You know, she's one of those kind of people you want to see first thing in the morning when you go pick up your kids, and you want to see her in the afternoon. She has that same smile and that same sunshine that she brings to our campus.
Ms. Rayner has a very bubbly personality that makes her the perfect teacher for a kindergarten boy or girl. She's very energetic, she's patient, she's kind, and she has very high expectations for each one of those students. And in order to keep the flow moving in her classroom and to keep her students engaged and to make it a fun and inviting place for them, she makes them laugh. She shares stories about her childhood and helps them to relate to her being a 4 or 5-year-old as well as being the young lady that she is today.
Mrs. Ray is one of those teachers who, the minute I got to know her, knew she was a teacher that was going to keep me on my toes. I'm going to have to stay one step ahead to at least walk beside Mrs. Ray. She is a teacher that is constantly dreaming, but she's not just a dreamer. She's a teacher that when she dreams, she has a plan to reach those dreams, and not just for her, but for her students as well. She is constantly looking for the good in all of her students and in looking in ways to improve not just her individual students in her classroom, but our campus, and how does our whole campus support all of our students.
Miss Ferris is a skilled teacher who makes a lasting impression with students through her commitment to making learning meaningful and real. Her ability to really capitalize on the teachable moment and be able to allow students to take risks. They're very comfortable in her classroom, and it just helps the whole learning process. Miss Ferris is a very passionate, loyal, and diligent teacher. She continuously seeks opportunities to enrich our curriculum and is very valued by myself and our staff.
When I think about the conversation that we had with the committee when we were going through the process of selecting a teacher, several things came around the table about him, and I think the most important one that I think got everybody heading that direction was his generosity towards the kids, not only with providing great education, great lessons, but also giving up very generously his time. When I think of Mr. Westwood, I think of a very wholesome citizen, a very good person that everybody likes and loves.
The first thing that anyone would notice about Mary is her energy. I mean, when she comes into a room, it's just so evident that she brings joy everywhere she goes. She is energetic, she loves children, she just loves life, and that's what really makes Mary special. It's wonderful when you go into her room because every child feels like they are the #1 student in her class. And so that's what's really special when you walk in Mary's class, is that every child feels like they are the most important person in that room.
One of the things that makes Miss Wilson really special is she has a very joyful spirit about herself, and she brings that into the classroom with her students. Anytime you go into her classroom, the students are actively engaged. They're enjoying the learning that's taking place in the classroom, and she puts a lot of effort into being prepared for her students, challenging her students. She's very good about trying to come up with creative things to do with her students. Is always looking for innovative ways to teach concepts in the classroom that will keep the students engaged in learning.
Miss Evans exudes passion in her teaching. She is the kind of teacher that every principal would wish for on their campus. She takes a special interest in every child individually, as well as not accepting excuses from the children. The expectations are set in her classroom, and I have to tell you, 9 times out of 10, the children rise to the challenge and rise to those expectations. She's just the kind of teacher who believes that building those relationships with those children are key. And with those relationships come performance.
Miss Thrasher is the epitome of what you would want in a Teacher of the Year. First of all, she's very enthusiastic. When you go into her classroom, you realize right away that even though she's a music teacher, it's far more than just a side note to the student's day. She's the kind of teacher that excites students, she knows how to engage students, and she motivates them to want to learn not just about music, but about everything, to become learners. She wants students to learn, she wants them to be involved, and she wants them to enjoy education. And she's just the kind of person that you know is a great representative for our school for Teacher of the Year.
Ms. Guajardo is a very passionate teacher. She loves her students. You can see her at the very beginning of her day setting the expectations for the day. The children are actually role-playing how to act in certain situations, what choices they may have. So they actually go through modeling that day for the other children, or how to react when a child takes a toy from you. What are your options? And the children actually do it themselves, and you can tell that she has truly worked with them and that they have a sense of family in the classroom because she's developed those characteristics in her children and in her classroom.
I was talking to the seniors at John Tyler last week, and I asked them, what do you remember about about Target? What do you remember about your time spent in GT? And this one little girl said, I remember Miss Cooper. And I said, well, what about Miss Cooper? And she said, she was awesome. And I said, well, what was so awesome about Miss Cooper? She said, we built huts for Indians, and she taught me math and graphing. She said, I knew math stuff before I ever got to middle school. And when we started covering it in middle school, I was just like ahead of everybody else, and I felt so confident, and I learned how to compete with people who were like me. And so she loved her time in Miss Cooper's class, and she loved Miss Cooper.
We're always very proud of our Teacher of the Year candidates, and they always represent us well, and Ms. Tilson does a great job of that every day in the classroom, wherever she's at on the campus, and even when she's not on the campus and she's out and it's not even time for her to be at work, she's a great representative for our campus out in the community, and the parents really love Miss Tilson, and she's very soft-spoken, and yet has great management, and she's a leader on our campus as well.
She is a boulder at Bolter. She is a rock-solid teacher. She's been there about 20 years. Has always been rock solid, builds great relationships with her students, knows her data, knows her material and her content, and she is dedicated to Bolter and her students, and she's compassionate about her students. She has contributed so much. She stepped up this year as our language arts department head, and she just does a fabulous job in everything she does. So I'm very, very proud of her.
What I admire most about Ms. Dodd is her willingness to get the most out of her students and to be creative in terms of working with kids through their assignments, or even if there are activities beyond the typical classroom. She's one who invites feedback from students and helps them develop that into its fullest potential. She is someone who has gained respect from among all of her peers and the staff at the school. She's definitely someone who will come early, stay late, come on weekends, and do whatever it takes to get the job done.
The first thing that comes to mind when I think of Leah is her rapport with her students. She really values the opportunity to get to know students, to develop a relationship outside the classroom with those students, as well as into their homes, getting to know their parents and creating that relationship as well. She is always looking for opportunities to see her students and get to know them in a way that they in turn respect her and usually develop a strong relationship with her.
Mr. Payne's been teaching for TISD for about 4 years. He's been teaching 8 years overall. One of the unique things about him is he is actually from Peru, born and raised. His parents were Bible translators, and so he was there for most of his young life growing up. And one of the things that makes Mr. Payne outstanding as far as our Teacher of the Year is that regardless of what's going on in the school, he's there. He's in the middle of it. Not only does he do a good job in the classroom, he's involved in what we're doing on campus. And he's just always there. He's one of those teachers that regardless of what you're doing, he's there to help, to pitch in, to volunteer, and that's a pretty unique characteristic.
When you have a teacher that creates excitement, when you see the kids excited about learning, and that is what David Howard brings to the table. He has kids in his room before school, he has room there, and everything that he does is so enthusiastic to watch them in the process of learning. He not only teaches students, but he also teaches teachers. You know, we have OFYP, and so David taught the physics and the chemistry teachers a lesson that they could teach to the ninth graders during OFYP days. So he's just that person, that go-to person. As a coach, as a teacher, he just excels at everything that he does.
Chris has been teaching it more for a while, and I've been excited to see him nominated 2 or 3 times. And Chris is very animated when he teaches. I've seen him teach on a skateboard when he was teaching force in motion. Just whatever it takes to he's a science teacher, so whatever it takes to get that emotional hook into the kids, and they're like, oh my goodness, what is crazy Mr. Razor going to do today? He's up on a skateboard, and it applies the lesson somehow. So it's I think the coolest thing about Chris is that his innovation. He's a kind of a techie kind of guy anyway, and so when you fix that up with a science teacher and combine the two, you get a lot of innovation and a lot of creativity. And so he's fun to watch teach.
The one thing that I like about Mr. Graves is he's young and he's open to new ideas and being able to change. He's a social studies teacher, and so I've walked into his classrooms when he's been doing his tax review, and he has a theatrical background also. And he is in there and he's loud and moving, and he embellishes a lot of the information that he's given to the kids. And you look at the students that are in the classroom and they're just staring at him. We have other teachers who will come out of their classrooms and stand in the hall just to listen to him when he's been doing that.
I've known Penny for quite some time. First met at John Tyler as a teacher. I know she moved to Robert E. Lee as a teacher. So she's had a bit of experience on both campuses. She has a commitment to children. Here at Plyler, that hasn't changed. She will meet kids where they are and work with them regardless of the situation, the credits. She's just great with kids. She loves kids. And I think that's why she's here and that's why she's effective here. Very caring, very concerned, willing to do whatever it takes to work with our kids to make sure their needs are met.
When I think about Mary, I think about her commitment to the students that she serves, to her campus and to our district. Mary's life was very similar to the students that she served growing up. She works for them the way she would work for her brothers and sisters, especially since she's the oldest. And she works very hard to make sure that they receive not only instruction, but life lessons that will be valuable. Mary is committed to the vision that we have at A.T. Stewart Middle School.
Ms. Burns is exceptional. I'll give you an example. I believe in cooperative learning groups, and I talk about it all the time. Laura Burns uses cooperative learning groups in her classroom, but one day I walked in and I didn't know she was doing it with her freshmen. I always think there's a progression in terms of maturity of kids. She actually had her freshmen in cooperative learning groups, and it looked like the senior classroom. And I walked up to her, I said, I am so nervous right now. I said, I want to know, does this ever fall apart? Well, the type of teacher she is, she was able to take cooperative learning groups and make it work with freshmen, which has me really excited.